We begin with brand new video from the Pentagon showing the moment a Russian fighter jet collided with a U.S. drone over international waters. The stunning footage shows the jet approaching the drone, dumping fuel as it gets closer, because that's safe. Then striking the drone's propeller before it plunged into the water. The Defense Department also released these images, one first showing the propeller intact, a second photo showing the damaged propeller. The Kremlin had said the U.S. downed the drone. Well, we know that's not true. But the video clearly is a receipt for why that didn't happen. Almost immediately following the crash, Russia sent ships to search for debris. We don't have any warships there anymore. Biden took them out. But our top military brass is doubtful that they will actually find anything or recover any usable intelligence because that part of the Black Sea is some 5,000 feet deep. Still, the incident is very troubling. Here's General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
So was it intentional or not? Don't know yet. We know that the intercept was intentional. We know that the aggressive behavior was intentional. I can tell you with certainty, though, that we have absolute evidence of the contact and the intercepts, et cetera, and it's very aggressive. You've heard about the dumping of the fuel and everything else. We have video evidence of all that. So there's no question that part of it's intentional. The actual physical contact of the aircraft, that I'm not so sure.
So I appreciate, Kayleigh, the urgency in his voice, and they want to get to the truth. But the fact of the matter is, what will that mean for President Biden?
Yeah, it's a great question. Look, he went on to say this is part of a pattern of aggression. That's what the Secretary of Defense said. Well, why is that pattern happening exactly? The highest levels of the Kremlin approving this pattern of action. Why is it happening? Well, maybe it has something to do with our commander-in-chief saying it's one thing if it's a minor incursion of Russia into Ukraine. Maybe it has to do with our president handing Vladimir Putin a list of critical infrastructure. Don't attack these in a cyber attack, essentially saying, but the others are just fine. Here's the list of what you can't do. There's a pattern happening because of the weakness we're seeing, and you highlighted it just there. Even in our response to this, we are weak. Kirby, within hours of this happening, out on CNN Morning Show going, it's very, very deep there. Milley emphasizing that. It's very deep there. Why are we telling the Russians this as they have a warship in the area and saying we don't even have a ship there? Why aren't we broadcasting strength? That's not something Biden has the ability to do.
So last hour, Congressman Waltz from your home state of Florida was on with me, and that's how I learned why we removed the warships. It was appeasing Putin so that maybe he wouldn't do more than a minor incursion.
We know how appeasement works out.
Yeah, so we took all of our warships out. So, I mean, we couldn't go back in there now if we wanted to.
Right.
It's bizarre. Let's take a listen to Waltz and his frustration with the Biden administration when it comes to Russia.
This is part and parcel for Russia's agenda to own the Black Sea. And my frustration is that the Biden administration, Biden ordered all of our ships out of the Black Sea before the war even started because it was yet another concession, yet another attempt at appeasement that maybe if we're not too escalatory, maybe if we're nice enough, that the Russians will be nice back. We've seen that was a huge mistake, but the broader agenda here is we pulled our ships out, we pulled our manned aircraft out, now we have unmanned aircraft in international waters, and the Russians want to force them out too, and the response can't be do nothing.
Kennedy, the way that Congressman Waltz describes this, it's like Biden is running our foreign policy like a sandlot, like a play lot. Like if you're really nice to the other kid, he'll only punch you in the face once.
Yeah, we should have listened to Robert Gates before the good people of this country voted President Biden into office because he's horrible on foreign policy. This is a very scary time. This is where weakness meets desperation. To Kayleigh's point, he is telegraphing weakness. He's not telegraphing strategy, certainly not strength, and certainly not something that would keep us out of a hot war with a nuclear superpower. Russia is backed up against the wall, militarily, economically, and desperation is not the best position to have them in because they are now like a caged animal who is going to lash out. And unfortunately, I don't trust this administration and, frankly, the military brass, and I don't buy their excuses about the depth of water. And, you know, I think there's a lot of it that we are not getting straight truth. I don't trust this commander-in-chief to give it to us. And that gives me pause and fear for the future of a very hot and dangerous conflict.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want anyone to believe that we can't handle a submarine, which is in very deep water. I just want to...
By the way, that's a very good point. Since we're not supposed to know where the submarines are we able to deploy? But then a significant amount of our submarine fleet is actually not out and deployed right now because they're in dry dock being repaired. To Kennedy's point, angle of entry into the water, type of impact, explosion, and separation of the parts of a drone. So we really don't know. So they can't give us a definitive answer. Mark Milley's attempts to parse the answer and put the idea that this was not an intentional act out there by talking about a specific part. This is a complete intentional act. It's a big space. Look up above you, everyone. For two items in the sky, or in this case, two warplanes and a drone, all one unmanned, two manned, to come together is an intentional act. Russia is also in the process of flexing its muscles. There's been an interaction with the UK aircraft recently. There are other questions being raised about North Sea interactions. Russia is doing what they're doing. To your point, a caged animal will reach out, in this case, and I say flex its muscles to show that I'm not as weak as you think I am.
Emily.
Yeah, I think it's telling that Russian officials on Wednesday came right out and said, we are going to induce recovery efforts immediately. And then contrast that with Kirby, who said, well, there may not be any kind of recovery effort given the depth. What a stark contrast in response. But, I'm not surprised because remember, after the debacle pullout that Afghanistan was, where 13 service members lost their lives, we left behind $7 billion worth of equipment. So why should we care about a $32 million Reaper right now? I wouldn't be surprised at all, and I'm not. And remember what the Pentagon did at the time and what this administration did at the time about that equipment, not only confirming it, but then saying basically, well, I guess it's not that big of a deal. So we know that that equipment included aircraft, vehicles, munitions, guns, communication equipment. And the reaction was, a lot of this stuff is likely to quickly become non-operational, guys, not to worry. And remember when Jeff Selden said, is any of this equipment reaching Al-Qaeda or ISIS, guys? The official response, we continue to monitor for any indications of that happening. And I'll just close by saying that, the National Security and Defense Council Secretary Danilov said, the purpose of this all-in tactic by the Russians is to always be raising the stakes. And as a normal American that values my freedom and my security and my faith and living in this country, nothing terrifies me more than Russia going all in under this administration.
Russia going all in and knowing that China is right there.
Yes.
China yet, according to Admiral Kirby, China yet has tell us whether it has chosen to really push for peace between Russia and Ukraine or possibly put some more than just those soft kits on the ground for weapons.
It is a huge...
We're waiting for them.
Right. We've seen Russia's army is not what we thought it was. They're losing to Ukraine pretty badly. But China, they are the real threat to this country. And they are, essentially possibly backing the Russians. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Because Kirby says we got to wait.
Right. Got to wait. Wow.
All right.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.